Welcome to the final line icons part 2. Please watch the video above. It's a great way to see how to transfer the sketch, which is what we're going to do in this video, to a vector logo. It'll give you some great pointers. Alright, directions for this assignment. Again, we've already sketched out our drawing. Make sure that the drawing is a thoughtful, conceptual approach of choosing the correct line quality and the object for your restaurant. They should be easily understood, universal. So the object should be very clear to any audience and easy to use in various sizes. Hence, we are doing a simplified line form. So if you reduce it, we should have clarity. If you increase the size really large, you still should have clarity. You will have restrictions of only using line. The line is used to define the shape and contour. Outlines are to suggest the mass and volume. So keep that in mind, that the lines are supposed to help more than just outline it, but also suggest that there's more to it than just straight outline. When using color, think about the experience of the restaurant and what you have learned about color and the correct color pairings for this icon. There should be a solid color in the back, and in the front, a different color for the lines or line forms. All right, tasks. You've already taken a picture. You're going to bring that picture, which is a marker of your icon from the sketches and the research. You're going to bring it into Illustrator. You're going to make the size 5 by 5 inches. You're going to use the pen tool to trace it. I'm also going to show you how to do auto trace, but you still should use the pen tool as much as you can. I really want you to get comfortable with it. You're going to add one solid color to the background, and you're going to choose a second color for the outline line work. You will submit the final as a PDF. Don't worry about the one below because you should have done it in the past assignment, which was Icons Part 1. Let's go to start getting that photo into Illustrator. So if you've taken the photo from your phone, you want to make sure this is a JPEG if you haven't already. Double click on it, the file, the original file, and open it up in Preview. In any format that you can get this open, you just want to open it and then export it or save as, if that has availability. We're going to use export as a JPEG. I would also add in the JPEG abbreviation, JPG at the end, .jpg. I would look for the best quality, so pull this all the way to the end, and then again, save it where you know where you can go get it. You need to know where this is saved to. I always recommend create a folder where all of your pieces for your project stay in one spot. So there's my JPEG, and the next step, I'm going to show you how to bring this JPEG into a file that is Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to find Illustrator in my panel. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to create a new file. This is a print file, but we're going to make it into a custom size. So we're going to do 5 by 5, but we're going to start before that is move this to inches. It's important that this is inches. If you have pixels, it's going to be really, really small. So make sure it's on inches. So 5 by 5. You don't see this IN, it's not inches. It's square, so the rotation doesn't matter. It's equal on all sides. And here we want to put so you should write line icon, your last name, part 2. Width should be 5 inches by 5 inches. Make sure that you select the right measurement. We are using inches. You can change this to RGB. Because it's green, let's do 72. RGB, 72. All good. Hit create. So now you have your correct size. You have some tools here and you have all the other tools over here. First thing I want you to do is Command R. This brings the ruler in. You can see that the paper starts at 0 and 0 on this side. Now I have my image, I know where it is. You can do one of two things. You can drag it by finding it and dropping it right in, or you can go under File, Place. Make sure you know where it's located, and then Place. And then I can just drop it anywhere I want. You can see that it's really large. This was a smaller file. I want to, I'm doing the Command plus and minus. So I'm going to do minus because I want to see as much as I can of this. So I'm scooting it all the way out. I'm going to use my selection tool. You want to make sure you have the dots all the way around. If you do not see the dots around the edge, you want to go to View and you want to make sure bounding box are on. If it looks like this, then you need again to go here and click on bounding box to turn it on to hide. And now it's available. So I click on it, I hit one of these dots. You can see that it's turned into a tool to resize. You must hit Shift. If you don't hit Shift, it will not size correctly. And I'm going to size it all the way back into the page. I'm not worried if it's like centered on the page yet, right? I'm going to go get to my zoom tool. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm just going to drag directly on top of it until. So there's a lot of ways of doing the zooming in. You can zoom in right below here where you can do the percentages, fit on screen. So now that we have it on this page, we kind of want to get it larger, right? So again, I'm on the selection tool and I'm just resizing it to fit the best to this page. Image masking. Up on this top panel, it needs to be on. You need to go to Windows Control if it's not on. Select the image, hit Auto Trace. Yes, I want to proceed. And this is what it did for Auto Trace. So it's okay. Sometimes it's really bad if you haven't drawn a nice line. So the next thing you do after Auto Trace is expand. Now the thing is totally grouped now. It's all one. So what we need to do next is go to Object, Ungroup. After it's ungrouped, you can select the white pieces because we don't want any of the white pieces. This can get tricky because there's a lot of potential white pieces. We also don't need the inches or this line around it. So here's a way to just make sure nothing's there. I can select these parts because some of them are clumped together and some are not. And I can use Option 3 for PC, but Command 3 will hide the image. So I can go through and hide all of my blacks. Make sure you're doing the solid blacks. Now let's see what we left behind. Now if I do Option or Command Y, we can see an outline of anything that is still there. So I'm going to select it and then I'm going to delete it. Now Option Command Y will bring it back to this view. All right, now let's see what we have. You want to do Option Command 3 to bring back the lines. So here, I would want you to then go to View, and it looks like it's on Pixel. Click it off of Pixel. Now the goal here is you're not just done now. Now I want you to clean up the lines by using the pen tool. Now you can do one of two things. You can just go around and clean up everything, or you can draw a new line. So if I was going to clean up, I would go to my pen tool, I'd click it open, and see how many random dots got put in here. I would start, if they're doing the correct kind of mark for you, that's fine with the squiggly line. but I prefer it to be clean and purposeful of what you want to do. What is an anchor and what is the arms, because the arms get so close. Some of these arms are on top of other arms. So just clean this stuff up if you're going to go this direction. Zooming in and out, plus and minus. So anytime I have things that like are errors or somehow I clicked and started doing this, I just do undo until I get back to where I want to be. So I'm toggling back and forth from pen tool to the direct, but once I'm on the pen tool, if I hover over a point, it'll automatically change to a minus. So you'll do that throughout it just to kind of get rid of random ones, clean up your lines. That's one way of doing it. Create a new layer, turn this layer off. I'm going to bring in my JPEG. I am Command minus and get out so that I can get this back on my page. So when you somehow double click on it and this shows up, that's bad. Unclick, make sure you're on the main page. All right, the other way of doing it is expand this. Make sure you're holding Shift Option if you do it this direction. And let's get it as large as we can. And then we're gonna lock it to this page. So this is another layer, and then we're gonna add a new layer on top of it, and this will be the drawing layer. So here, I would just use my pen tool, and I would create the lines. So many less lines are being made once you do it this way. So this will take time. I could connect these as one unit, or I could make sure they're all separate. That is all up to you as the designer of this. The other key thing is switch it so that it is outline and not fill, which make it a little bit easier for you to maneuver through. The best bet is to make sure that your drawing is clear and cohesive at the start. So I would have spent typically a little bit more time on this to make sure my lines were perfect and neat and nice. This is a little unclear of the solid and thin because of my marks. So a nice marker is important. And then as you go, you can kind of go back and check to see what your lines are looking like. So turning off that layer, which is the drawing layer, I can go back in and adjust. Holding on to the anchor and not the arms. All right, and then from here, I would select it and then go to Pathfinders, which we talked a little bit. I want to go to the one that cuts it out. So that one did it. Now I just need to go back and fill it with the black. So now it's one object instead of two objects. So would it be easier to do it this way or go in here and use this one? It's up to you. To me, because I am more fluid and I think it's important to understand how to use the pen tool, I'd probably use a pen tool than doing it this way. I will be checking your files, so please make sure that if I see a whole bunch of dots randomly all over the place, I would know that you auto traced it and that you didn't take the time to clean up your lines. So please do that. So this just takes time. Use your time wisely to clean up the whole image. After you clean up the whole image, the next thing you would do is add another layer, put the layer on the bottom, call that back. If it's a drawing, write drawing. Clearly name your layers. So we're going to add color in the background. Let's make sure that our object is color. So go to File and then Color Mode. Let's click here for RGB. Next, we're going to go to our color panel and make sure it also is RGB. Once you have picked out your color, make sure you grab the rectangle tool covering the background. All right, so that's my color. And then I'm going to make sure I select all of my lines. So remember, you can go to the layers and then you can find the line drawing that you had and you can select it. Instead of having to go through each one, because they're in different layers, you can automatically select it. Also remember, if this back is up above, you will not see the image. You must have it below the drawing in layers. I draw picker to get the same color again. And make sure your color panel is open. And then this is a trick. If you hit Shift, you can pull this over and this should line up the same. See how this kind of comes together? Colors are just a little bit lighter. So I could see if this would be better if it was switched the other way, the light in the back and the dark in the front. Play around with different color options before you're done. So I switched the colors. I would probably go back to the dark in the back, kind of pushing it backwards and the lines being the light that is the form. But one more thing I want to talk about before I leave you is how to save. So you all should know how to save as a PDF, and make sure on your desktop you have a folder for this project. And then I'm going to save the PDF. I'm going to take everything off. But before you send me the PDF, make sure you check it, that it's there, that it looks accurate. And the other thing you're going to do is you're going to save the original. All right, so I have my folder here. I've saved my 2 files. You cannot submit 2 files together unless you compress them. If you want to, you can submit it by selecting the folder and then going to File and then clicking on Compress. Now you can load the zipped folder. That's what you would submit for me for the final assignment.